guys, it's Juliana here, and today we'll be talking about my book review for one of my most beloved short stories, which is entitled My Muslim Friend, which is written by Mary Ann Ordinario Floresta. This short story. So, now, to tell you about My Muslim Friend, it begins when Jamila, a Muslim girl, and Anne, a devout Christian/Roman Catholic little girl, ended up being seatmates after a teacher assigned them in their seat plan. So what happens is they start sharing secrets and stories to each other, and from that day on, they never separated. And since then, they attended clubs together. They sort of go to each other's houses, and they teach about each other's culture. So for more of that, I'll just read to you the story since it's not your typical story with rising and falling actions, and it's just all kinds of mushy and everything in between. So let's go. Jamila is my best friend. I call her Mela, and she calls me Anne. I am a Christian, and she's a Muslim. But the difference between our culture and religion did not hinder us to be the best of friends. Our friendship started when she became my seatmate. Our teacher had intentionally assigned her to sit beside me. At that moment, we started telling stories to each other, laughing and sharing secrets about ourselves. From that day on, we never parted ways. We shared our assignments in school. We went to the canteen together to eat our favorite cassava cake, and every Saturday, we regularly attended the FAHP club, 4-H club, or Girl Scout meeting. Every day, I picked her up at her house. I just called her name, Mela, and she came out running with her bag and umbrella. When she visited me, she did the same. She called, and I immediately opened the front door of our house to meet her. If she came late, I patiently sat near the window of our house, watched people walk along the road, and waited for her to pass by. Every weekend, I always brought guavas for her, or she brought green mangoes for me taken from their backyard. We mixed vinegar and salt to dip these fruits and enjoyed eating together while playing the whole afternoon. And oh, how we loved to be with my big doll Mary, or played hide and seek, skipping rope, and ran around the playground. We also made cakes from mud and decorated it with icing taken from my little brother's baby powder. We also cooked vegetables taken from leaves and flowers. When we were tired of playing, she taught me Muslim words like Bapa, which means uncle or sir, Babo, which means auntie or ma'am, Indaw, meaning where. I also taught her Ilocano words like when, which means yes, papanam, where are you going, and gayam ka, which means you are a friend. Sometimes I spoke to her in short Muslim phrases, and she replied back in Ilocano phrases. It was fun, and we enjoyed speaking that way to each other. She showed me how to wear a malong, or eat tinagtag. She taught me how to play the kulintang, a musical instrument, while we laughed and danced together. I told her stories about my Ilocano culture. She also discovered how delicious it is to eat saluyot and bagoong. My family liked her. She was welcomed at home anytime. I was also accepted warmly at their home. Sometimes, I ate lunch with her family. How I loved the way her mom prepared beefsteak, but I could not forget when she ate at home and pork was served. My mom always cooked a special dish for her. She used a different plate, a different serving spoon, to be sure that pork was not included in her meal. But she never complained nor felt pork was dirty because it was served on the table. Until now, I admire her for that trait. Until we reached high school, we were the best of friends. During that time, I often went to church and prayed to Jesus Christ. She sat beside me and waited silently while I kneeled and prayed. We also visited their mosque. She told me how they worshipped Allah. I could remember that every Friday she goes to church and wore a white dress to pray. I talked to her about the Bible and she explained to me about the Quran. When we reached college, we were separated. I took up mass communication in Manila and she took up medicine in Davao City. For 4 years, we regularly wrote to each other. We sent cards to each other during special occasions like birthday and Christmas. But we always saw each other during vacation or semestral break. Together, we shared secrets. We laughed a lot, especially when both of us expressed our opinions regarding our college life. Until both of us graduated and later got married. Would you believe that she is the ninang of my firstborn? Again, I admired her when she attended the christening ceremony. It was proven once again that there was never a barrier between our cultures. There was never a gap, even if I am a Christian and she is a Muslim. Deep in our hearts, both of us knew that we valued our friendship so much, more than the opinion of others, beliefs, and ideologies in this world. Today, she resides in Holo, and I live in Kidapawan. Believe it or not, we still have something in common. As a pediatrician, she treats sick children. On the other hand, I teach children. I also write books for children. Isn't that wonderful? Jamela will always be my very special friend. People often ask me, how can you have a Muslim friend after all these years? Aren't you scared? How can you trust her? She's a Muslim? Well, after all these years, I have proven that she has never betrayed me. She always defended me and stood up for me in times of joy and sorrow. Indeed, she is one good Muslim friend I am very proud of. So I want to tell all the children of the world that having a real friend is not so much about the choice between a Muslim and Christian. It is to be a genuine person, to be a real friend to each other. It is the respect, tolerance, and understanding of both cultures. Besides, think of it. Isn't it that Muslims and Christians are the same? There is no difference. We're all human beings with heart and soul, capable of loving and creating true friendship that could last forever. So basically, my Muslim friend, which is by the way a non-fiction short story, which I forgot to mention a while ago, is actually really good in terms of the showing the connection between Jamela and Anne and their cultures. And what makes this really great is that it's almost obvious that it's not a fiction at all, because at first I thought it was fiction, but then after I checked some of the facts stated in the book, like the author's name and the character's name and the place where the author lives. So basically, it's written here, the part of about the author, and I found out she lives in Kidapawan City, where the character Anne lives, and she has taken up mass communication. So I think it's very obvious that at it was somewhat, or it was actually really true that it is not a fictional story. I think it's sort of a biography of sorts that explains how deep their relationship and connection as friends are. And I think that's great because there are many stories around this time that shows the connection and strength of a bond between two people with two different cultures. And it's something I really recommend, especially to teach children the value of being accepting towards other people who don't believe in what they believe, and to be able to healthily form a rapport with them. However, the only thing I'm unsure about is the facts, because it is said here that For 4 years, they regularly wrote to each other. Because, however, the woman, Jamila took medicine. So I assume that they have written, they have at least clarified why they had written for only for 4 years, and then all of a sudden they stopped writing, or if she lived again in near Jamela, because Jamela is actually taking up medicine, and medicine is actually a course which takes a lot of time, more than 4 years to complete. So that is one thing I'm unsure about. And another thing which I'm not sure of, if it is identified as fictitious, is if it was true that Jamila was ever a godmother, because as of on my based on my knowledge, it is not, a purpose of a godmother is actually to guide a kid towards the Christian way of life. So that got me sort of a question mark on my a question mark popped on my head. So besides those things, all in all, it is something I recommend. And with that in line, I think for as my final words, I would definitely recommend this to for anyone to read. It's actually for all ages. I think more adults need it more than children, because today there's so much not settled because of conflicts between beliefs and ideologies. And I think that's in line with what I will say for 21st century literature, is that for me it is something that bridges the gap between cultures and times, and mends it pieces everything together, and it just sort of like connect everything to one another and bridges the gap to everything and everyone, despite their differences. So I think that's one of the many things that I enjoyed in in learning in 21st century literature, especially how the present bridges the gap, uh, creates a bridge between the rift between the past and present and the future, because it has shown how the past is important, and it formulates into something relatable in the present, and in the future it is something that will further develop. So that's all. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed and somewhat learned something, and see you soon. So bye bye.